I have come from the darkness and its depths to tell you of the Inferno and a review. Inferno is the third installment in the Dan Brown series revolving around Robert Langdon, played by Tom Hanks. In this installment of the series, we find Robert Langdon waking up with amnesia in the hospital when he is awoken by Sienna Brooks, which is played by Felicity Jones, which we'll be seeing in Star Wars. Our protagonist wakes up with amnesia, and it's up to him to go back and retrace his steps to figure out where he fits in all this and how he got there. From what I saw in the movie, it actually is really good. I didn't have any issue following the story. It starts off totally like you would expect a Dan Brown book to start off. I did not have the luxury of reading this book. I read previous iterations by Dan Brown. I read Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, The Last Symbol, which I was a little sad that they skipped ahead and they did not make that a movie because it had some ideologies in there. Would have made for a great film. But not everything always gets movie adapted. Watching this movie, it felt a lot like if you ever read Dan Brown's Digital Fortress. There was elements where it starts off with somebody's death, and then from that death there's clues, and then from those clues you have to find out what they're trying to do and try to figure out this and that, the catastrophe, blah blah blah. It's totally Dan Brown. From reading it from A to B, I did not read this book, but you can totally tell it's him. The plot does get a little convoluted. Like, there was one plot hole in particular that left me like, okay, now where's that guy? Where's this? I mean, where was he in all this? How did this fit into that? The historical places, landmarks, everything, the architecture of these places, wonderful. I loved the visuals of this, well edited together. What I really loved about the beginning, it hits you with a lot of visuals, and from those visuals, you see it throughout the beginning of the film, and from those visuals, like, it disappears afterwards, but that's also because our protagonist starts to feel a lot better about his current state of affairs. One thing that was also there to add that I really liked was the sense of how they utilize a lot of the visuals in the beginning. I felt like I was watching something totally like Dante's Inferno's imagery come to life. At the same time, I couldn't help but think of Mars Volta. Like, a lot of the visuals they portray, like, in such a dark, grueling fashion sometimes. Well, maybe it's because I've been listening to it a lot recently as well. I find myself enthralled by those graphics. I did like that he woke up with amnesia. I know there were some people that found problems with it, but Robert Langdon was always such a smart person, figuring things out just by looking at them. He's a symbologist, so he studies it. Looking at these things, he always knows the architectures and where this place is at and that. I love that they approached it by having him be incapacitated throughout the film, having him retrace his steps, because you can't have your hero be completely invulnerable, and this vulnerability plays a lot into the film, and so much so that there's a lot of backstabbing. It happens so much that you're like, okay, I don't know who to trust anymore, and I really don't care. It plays a little bit against itself, but the movie is still just such a fun joyride to watch. One thing that bothered me was basically there's this moment where after he basically figured it out, it just hits you with flashbacks, and not only with Robert Langdon's flashbacks, it hits you with someone else's flashbacks and telling you elements of the story. And what I didn't like about that is that it throws it to you all at once, whereas it doesn't give you leeway to kind of take in what has happened throughout the film. Overall, I will say Inferno is a lot of fun. I wasn't bored throughout the film. By the end of the movie, I was totally at the edge of my seat. It does have a gripping hold on you, especially if you follow the previous two movies, The Angels and Demons and Da Vinci Code. You will have this kind of attachment to Robert Langdon. Dan Brown handles his source material really well. It's always well researched. So I would like to continue to watch the series as long as it's still handled by him. Fun fact, Angels and Demons was actually the first book he wrote in the Robert Langdon series, then the Da Vinci Code. After the Da Vinci Code had a little bit more success than Angels and Demons, he re-released it to the public, and then following along with The Lost Symbol and Inferno. So yeah, I can't leave you without a little bit of knowledge now, can I? So if you like what I do here, you like what you saw, be sure to leave a comment, subscribe, likes, and all that stuff helps me out. So if you want to just talk to me some Inferno, have you seen it, let me know. I'm musical gamer here, and I'll talk to you later.